Hey guys, welcome back to Church Talk. My name is Rob, and today we're going to be talking about your speakers. All right, so I was saying we're going to be talking about your speakers. Now, I have a short story for you about why I'm talking about speakers. The other day, and I'm just going to get right to it. The other day, by the time you're watching this video, it's probably a few weeks ago, but we were having some issues on one of our speakers. Our speakers are hung. We have a left, right, and a center. Our left side was sounding like it was busted. It sounded like there was clipping. It sounded like there was fluttering in it, and it was very distorted. It sounded awful. And so then as we began to, my son come to me and said, I think that speaker might be busted. I don't know. It's without getting up there to it, and which is a difficult task. We just began to troubleshoot and diagnose. So in our troubleshooting, this is what we done. And if you're having some issues with your speakers, or you think it's your speakers, try to do this. So he come to me and he said, I think that speaker might be busted. And it's difficult to get to, so we can't physically look at it. So what we ended up doing, these are passive speakers. We have two speakers on the left and the right that are run through one single amp. It's a double channel amp. So we have A on the left, B on the right, or vice versa, however it was wired. And then we have another amp for the center speaker, which was bridged. Now, we're using EV speakers. I think the wattage might be 700 watts, maybe. I can't remember. I think it's like maybe 700 peak, 300 normal, I think, or 300 constant. I can't remember exactly right offhand, but they're good quality EV speakers. And they're not super old. One of them is brand new. We put the center one up when we moved our sanctuary around and remodeled the sanctuary. So one of them was brand new. The other two, they're the same exact thing, but they're a little bit older. And I thought, we shouldn't be having any speaker problems yet. We don't run it very loud. Sometimes it can get a little loud, but most of the time it's not. It's only loud because it's a small space and it's not acoustically treated. So some frequencies seem like it's a little bit louder than others, but that's besides the point. So we had this speaker issue. So the first thing that we done is I turned off the center speaker. And I also turned off the right side speakers so we could only hear the one speaker is giving us a problem. And sure enough, it sounded awful. So I done the same thing. I turned that speaker off at the amp, just turned it down, and turned the right speaker on, only listen to the right speaker. And it sounded the same, but not quite as bad. And so at that point, we said, well, we either have two speakers or we have the amp itself. So then I went ahead and turned both of those down and turned the center only on, and it sounded fine. It sounded great. There wasn't any issues with it. So what we done is I went to the amplifier and I unplugged the amps and just swapped them around. I used the amp that was for the middle speaker for the two outer speakers and then listened to it, and they sounded great. There was no issue. So what we found was trying to run both speakers through that amp, the amplifier itself is going out and it's not providing power, and it's causing a distorted sound, or it wasn't producing enough that the speakers needed, and the amp itself was going out. So we swapped amplifiers and used that amp that was not producing enough for the two, and allowed it to only feed the one speaker. And then the other amp that was bridged, then when I say bridged, all that basically is taking your two channels and combining it into one, so you get the full effect of your amp. Because normally if you have two different channels, it's split. So if it's say for instance it's 1,000 watt amp, you're going to give 5 and 5. So when you bridge it, now you're getting the full capability of that amp to one speaker. So we had it bridged going to the one speaker so that we could tweak it in as much as we needed to, or whatever we needed to with it. So I just unbridged it and took those A and B out to our left and right, then took the one amp to our single center speaker, and we haven't been having any other issues. And we have went ahead and ordered new amps, so we are going to just go ahead and replace those because they're all about the same age. We got one that's beginning to fail. We don't want to have a total failure to where we're just completely out. So we went ahead and just replaced those, and we'll have one older spare that's sitting in the back, and then we'll have the other one that we're just going to get rid of because it's not good for hardly anything anymore, but it is good enough to power the one speaker we found, and we're not having any issues with it. So if you guys are having problems with a speaker, test your amplifier first. Go test your amps. And if you only have just one amp, I know some small churches you have just one amp that's providing one signal to your mains and one signal to your monitors. That's a little bit more difficult to test at that point, but maybe just test it per speaker would be maybe the best route there. I'm thinking is just have your amplifier sending signal to each speaker individually to make sure that all your speakers individually sound good, and then when you put all of them together, is your amp providing enough for all of them? And that was in our case. The amp was not providing enough power to power both of those speakers, and they were sounding very distorted, and it just was sounding really rough. So just wanted to share that with you. That's very, very simple fix that it could have been if we just said, hey, that speaker sounds awful, and we replace the speaker, then we go through all that hassle, but we're not looking at all the other things within the chain. So if you're having a problem like that, you hear something that doesn't sound right, go through your entire signal chain looking at things, because it could be something very simple. It could have even been a connection. That was the first thing that I checked, was just connectors. Made sure that the speak on connectors were, I went and unplugged those and plugged them back in, make sure that they were a good connection, make sure XLRs are completely plugged in, disconnect it and reconnect it, make sure that the speaker cables themselves are okay, because sometimes it can be a cable issue, something like that. Usually if they're flown, you're not going to have a cable issue unless you have, they're pulled tight or they're stapled or something like that, because they're just there. They're not being walked on. So the environment's not really going to damage them any. But check everything within your signal chain, because it may not be those expensive things giving you the problem. Now for us, it ended up being the amplifier. Amps can get a little bit expensive, but that's better than trying to rent equipment, go up and take that flown speaker down and replace it. That would take a better part of a day to go rent the equipment and get it into the sanctuary. Try to protect the carpet, because when you get a rental equipment, you don't know what type of on a lift or something, you don't know what type of tires you're going to have if they've been through mud and grease and whatever. So there's a lot of prep work and things when you go into replacing things within your church with the rental equipment. But for us, fortunately, it was not one of the speakers, but unfortunately, it was one of the expensive amplifiers. So we ended up making some phone calls and seeing what is recommended for that particular speaker. And of course, EV recommends their own product, of course. But we also checked with some other vendors that aren't EV, but just distributors, and they give us the equivalent, so some different name brands that we could price and compare the prices and see what it is that we want to go with. So we went ahead and ordered went and ordered a couple of amps. We're going to get those things replaced. So guys, check your amplifiers if you're having an issue with your speaker first. May not be your speaker. Just wanted to pass that along to you guys and let you know what we had going on, and if you have the same thing, to check out your amp. So hopefully this video was informative to you and maybe helping you out if you have the same issue. If you know somebody having that same issue, share this video with them. Maybe it can be a help to them. If it's the type of content you like, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and click the bell so you be notified when I upload new videos. And we'll see you guys next time on Church Talk. God bless.